John had seen plenty of foolish things in his life: guys betting they could outrink a storm, a cousin trying to grill steaks with a blowtorch, even a neighbor who swore he could wrestle a pig and win. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for the audacity of what he found on his ranch one sweltering evening. He pulled up to his sprawling property, expecting the usual calm of his private oasis, a cold soda, and maybe some baseball on the radio. Instead, he spotted two dusty SUVs parked brazenly inside his barn, as if they owned the place. His barn. His land. His blood started to simmer. At first, John's mind raced for a rational explanation. Maybe some lost hunters took a wrong turn. Or teenagers sneaking off for a joyride? But then he saw them, two middle-aged men standing outside the barn, sipping energy drinks like they were staking out a crime scene. They wore cheap tactical vests, the kind you'd find in a clearance bin, with fake police badges pinned to their chests. One guy, with a mustache so crooked it looked like it was glued on in a hurry, puffed out his chest as John approached. The other, sweating through his shirt despite standing still, adjusted his knockoff sunglasses nervously. These weren't hunters or kids. These were clowns pretending to be cops. "Sir," the mustached man barked, his voice dripping with fake authority, "this area is now under the jurisdiction of the Homeowners Association Security Task Force." John froze, his boots grinding into the dirt. He blinked, then let out a low, disbelieving chuckle. "The HOA? Out here, miles from any gated community?" This was his private ranch, not some cookie-cutter suburb. The sweaty guy chimed in, clutching a laminated sheet that looked like it was printed at a gas station. "This barn is being temporarily appropriated for HOA business," he said, his voice shaky but trying to sound official. John's amusement vanished. His eyes narrowed, flicking to the barn, his sanctuary, built by his own hands. These idiots had no legal right to be here, no more authority than a stray dog with a stick. They were trespassing, plain and simple, and worse, they were lying through their teeth. The old John, the one with the shorter fuse, would have grabbed a shovel and ended this nonsense in 10 seconds flat. But he'd learned patience, mostly. "That's cute," he said, his voice sharp with sarcasm. "Now get your sorry selves off my land." The mustached man, whom John mentally dubbed Captain Wannabe, didn't flinch. He pulled out a piece of paper, waving it like it was a court order. "Refusal to comply with HOA security measures will result in penalties," he said, his tone smug, like he'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror. The paper listed fines so absurd: $500 for unauthorized parking, $200 for non-compliant landscaping. John nearly laughed out loud. The sweaty guy, Deputy Sweatstain, shifted uncomfortably, his grip tightening on the fake document. "We're authorized to enforce community standards," Captain Wannabe added, as if that settled it. John's jaw clenched. He'd heard rumors about these types, self-proclaimed HOA security, scammers harassing folks in nearby towns, issuing fake fines, threatening to tow cars, acting like they were above the law. They'd been chased out of every neighborhood they targeted, but now they'd made a fatal mistake: they'd stepped onto John's turf. His fingers twitched at his sides, but he kept his cool. Patience, he told himself. Patience. "You listen here," John said, his voice low, deliberate, the kind that made people rethink their choices. "This ain't an HOA. And you sure as hell ain't cops." A smarter man would have seen the danger in John's eyes, the way his broad shoulders squared, and backed off. But Captain Wannabe scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "We'll be done by morning," he said, like John was just a nuisance. "No need to make a scene." That was it. John didn't argue. He didn't shout. He just turned and walked toward the barn, his boots crunching with purpose. Deputy Sweatstain frowned, sensing something was off. "Sir, where are you?" Slam. John swung the heavy metal barn door shut, the sound echoing like a gunshot. Before either man could react, he slid an industrial-grade lock into place, the kind built to stop bears, bulls, or bone-headed trespassers. The only way out was through him. Inside, silence. Then panic. "What the hell, man?" Captain Wannabe pounded on the door, his fake bravado cracking. John leaned against the barn, pulling out his phone with a smirk. "Oh, don't worry," he said, his voice calm but laced with menace. "Y'all ain't going anywhere." The yelling grew louder, fists hammering metal. "Unlock this right now!" Deputy Sweatstain's voice broke, raw with fear. John rolled the key between his fingers, then, with a flick of his wrist, tossed it into the bushes. "Eventually," he said, chuckling. The night was still, the stars bright above John's ranch. He stretched, cracking his knuckles, and dialed the sheriff. 20 minutes later, the quiet was shattered by the growl of engines. Blue and red lights sliced through the darkness, 3 patrol cars kicking up dust as they roared down the dirt road. Sheriff Carter stepped out last, his weathered face set in a mix of exhaustion and amusement. "John," he said, tipping his hat. "What we got?" John nodded toward the barn. "A couple of fake cops thought they could play king on my land." The deputies moved like a well-oiled machine, swinging the barn door wide. Out stumbled Captain Wannabe and Deputy Sweatstain, their swagger gone. Captain Wannabe's face was pale, his eyes darting wildly. Deputy Sweatstain looked like he might collapse, muttering incoherently. The deputies grabbed them, cuffs snapping shut with a satisfying click. Sheriff Carter sighed, shaking his head. "Boys, we've been hunting you two for weeks," Captain Wannabe stammered. "We were just maintaining order." Carter laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. "Order? The only thing you're maintaining is a rap sheet." He turned to John. "Impersonating an officer, trespassing, fraud, could be 5 years, maybe more." John whistled, leaning against his truck. "Well, damn." Deputy Sweatstain cracked, his voice shrill. "I told you this was stupid," he wailed, glaring at his partner. Captain Wannabe said nothing, his head bowed as the deputies shoved him into a patrol car. The engines roared to life, and one by one, the cars disappeared into the night, leaving John's ranch quiet once more. John grabbed a soda from his truck, the cold can soothing in his hand. He leaned against the fence, staring at the stars. His land was his again, untouched, exactly as it should be. Maybe the next batch of idiots would think twice before crossing him. And if they didn't? Well, John would be ready. What do you think? Was John a hero for trapping those fake cops, or did he go too far by locking them in? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's spark a debate. How far would you go to protect what's yours? Hit that like button if you loved this story, and subscribe for more tales of justice and drama. Your opinion matters, so let's hear it.